Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. As Manchester United moves from one crisis to another, which is what we've basically become accustomed to, haven't we? It's an absolute shambles at Manchester United. There are more leaks, there are more big stories of issues at Manchester United. And look, you know what? Before we get into the show, there's loads to talk about. James Garner's apparently going to get sold. Loads of leaks coming out of the dressing room, and they are genuine leaks. And, Ten Hag is effectively losing control, not through anything he's done. The club have just basically dealt him a hand that you can't have control. New Man United, it's an old Manchester United with a cherry on top. It's terrible. But every day I wake up and think, Manchester United can't make today any worse than yesterday. And they can. When it's Arnautovic, it's Rabiot. When we lose 4-0, we're now going to sell Garner. It's leaks from the dressing room. It's literally, I don't know what to expect next. Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy. Since when has Jamie Vardy been a player that's going to play for Ajax or in a Ten Hag or a Pep Guardiola system? Oh, because he presses from the front. He doesn't press from the front. He just runs around fast and gets on the end of long balls. It defies logic what we're trying to do. We're trying to bang more square pegs into round holes, but lots to get into. The assurances Erik ten Hag before he agreed to take the job. What do you think these were if they weren't transfer assurances? Could his contract be voided, says Jim Jam Games. Look, what I know, and I said this yesterday, I've done so much talking on radio, on United Stands and all sorts. So if I've said this on here, I apologise. But before we get into some of these headlines, Manchester United, Erik ten Hag, meeting about the job, one of the things that was said was Marcus Rashford was a priority in that meeting, and Ten Hag agreed to it. Man United wanted Rashford to be part of the future and part of the plan, and that was part of it, and Ten Hag agreed. And they wanted him to get more out of the players that are crap, and Ten Hag agreed. Now, I don't know to what extent the transfer budget was discussed and things like that, but I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you were interviewing Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp and the club is saying to them, yeah, we know these players are crap, but we want you to get the most out of them, Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp would walk away. They'd go, I'll get this club playing well, but I'll do it my way with my players. And if I go in and I decide that player's not good enough, then they're not good enough. I'm not giving you assurances in a meeting about Rashford or Maguire or Bruno or any other player, because until I train them and know what they're like, I can't do that before I've got a job. Unfortunately, discussions with Pochettino and with Ten Hag did include getting the most out of certain players that were already there, and that's United's failure. Leaks only started when Ronaldo came back, says Martin. We'll get into this, Martin, and well done, Martin, by the way. It's took you record amount of times for somebody to get in the chat and divide the fan base, so well done on that. What did I say yesterday? Let's not start individualising issues and trying to pin it all on one person. All I've heard for the last 24 hours is this attempt to try and shift the blame onto Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, I tweeted it this morning. Hilarious how this worked. So this morning at must have been about 10 to 9, because I was in Leamington. I was doing a show with Ben Foster, and I was just about to go in for 9 o'clock. So at 10 to 9, I just got off a phone call, and I put a tweet out, and I said that the leaks about Ronaldo are not coming from the club or the manager. They are coming from people within the dressing room, and the reason they're coming from the dressing room is because the people in the dressing room want to shift the blame like they always do, and they're putting it on Ronaldo so that no one talks about how crap they were. Happened loads last year, it's happening again this year. Within an hour of that, mainstream media are talking about it, which is what we're going to talk about. There are abundance of leaks coming out of Manchester United. Would Ten Hag's best career move be right now to get away from United? I said that yesterday, Tyler. I think he's going to fail. I want him to succeed. I really hope he can, but I don't know. I don't see how. He's lost control because he was never given any control. In fact, Ten Hag loses control is completely inaccurate because he never had control in the first place. He's not done anything wrong to lose control. He's never been given control. Mark, isn't it about time you start calling out the Man United players who are leaking info from the dressing room, says Tomasi. I'll come back to that. And from owners down to the players, no one is held accountable, but the manager is judged by performance. No wonder the standards are low. Look, when it comes to leaks from the dressing room, because look, let's just hit this straight away, because people might be going, oh, what leaks? Look, Samuel Luckhurst, Manchester Evening News, chief Manchester United reporter. And there's loads of these to go through, by the way. And Manchester Evening News are not the only people talking about this morning. So these are coming from dressing room, definitely, 100%. But when it comes to leaks, if you imagine, I know most water pipes are made of metal, but for this analogy, imagine a water pipe made of wood. So your water's running through a wood pipe, yeah? How many leaks have Manchester United got? It would be like imagining that wood pipe with water in it and an angry woodpecker just smashing away at it for all day. That's how many leaks there are. There's bloody loads of them. Hedgehog on a lilo, whatever analogy you want. People thought when Dean Henderson and Jesse Lingard left, that was the end of the leaks. No, because it was never one or two. It's bloody loads of them. And how do these leaks happen? Basically, what happens is, and it happens when you're playing well as well. So let's not pretend it's just always negative, but it's always been this way. Remember when we had Paul Ince on and he said this as well? You have relationships with journalists. You might get money for it, but you have relationships with journalists. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Every Manchester United correspondent will have some connection with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Man United players, whether it's through their agent or whether it's through the player directly. That is going on 24/7. That's journalism. That's the way it's worked. It's the way it's always worked. So, and the club will do that as well. The problem is, Manchester United players are blame shifters. They don't take any responsibility. It was a rarity on Saturday when David De Gea came out and said, it's my fault, I cost us the points, because we've never seen that before. And it doesn't take away from the fact that David De Gea was crap on Saturday, but it was actually quite refreshing to see a player come out and do that, because they don't do that. They're so desperate to preserve their own brand, they shift the blame all the time and never take responsibility, because why would they? Why would they? They've got away with it for years. Mate, surely at some point it all comes down to head and it's too much to take anymore. Went from the biggest club to the biggest laugh, says Nick97. And can't wait for the next game against Liverpool, says Messi, when we get battered at Old Trafford. Dan, welcome to the members club. So effectively, if we go through some of this stuff that's coming out today, and we'll start off with what Samuel Luckhurst has been saying. And this will be well sourced, and it will probably be coming from the dressing room as well. Erik ten Hag's decision to retain Harry Maguire as captain is not fully supported by the United squad, with a number of high-profile players still sceptical of Maguire's rank and its privilege of a starting role. I mean, I can't get my head around this, and I'm sure many of you can't do as well. I cannot bring solutions, and I don't think any of you can as well. The depth of Manchester United's problems goes far, far deeper than many of us thought. There is no new Manchester United. All I can categorise it like this. There is no new Manchester United. What we hoped for it when Ten Hag came in the middle of May, and the transfer targets that were leaked and the plans about what we were going to do, it's all gone to pot. James Garner is being sold. James Garner is being sold because he's the only player that someone will give us money for. James Garner should not be leaving Manchester United. Letting James Garner go and keeping Scott McTominay, that's like getting rid of your last can of beans and keeping the tin opener. What's the point in the tin opener? It doesn't do anything. There's nothing to open. So I don't get that at all. But I do get it because Garner shouldn't be being sold. He was fantastic last season in the Championship. He's gone and done his apprenticeship. He either goes on loan to a Premier League club or he's part of the first team. Selling him is ridiculous. You don't sell James Garner when you've got McTominay and Fred and Donny. You know, Donny doesn't get any game time. Why would you sell Garner? He's one of the only players who can take the ball off the back four. He might not be ready yet, but with Ten Hag's brilliant coaching or a loan to someone like Brighton, you keep that asset. The only reason we're getting rid of Garner, who doesn't want to be sold or didn't want to be sold, is because we know we can get 15 million. We're selling to buy. We're literally going to be selling James Garner to bring 15 million in to hopefully try and get Rabiot or something like that. It's a shot. It's not even short-termism. There is no word for this other than shambles. And I think the way you've got to look at Manchester United now is that this is not a new United. It's the same as last season, worse than last season. There has been no clear-outs. There has been no genuinely good recruitment yet in the key areas that we needed. The squad is disintegrated. They don't like each other. They don't play for each other. All we've done is brought a new manager in. In effect, Erik ten Hag is just Ralf Rangnick last December. Decent CV, potential to build a club, but no power to build a club. Now, Ten Hag's a better coach than Rangnick. I think Rangnick's a better builder of clubs than Ten Hag. I think they would have worked together really, really well. Unfortunately, that was never allowed to happen because Murta bloody stabbed Rangnick in the back like Woodward and Arnold did as well. But that's over. But what I'm saying is there is a big similarity between Rangnick and Ten Hag. They both came in with a CV to rebuild a club, but they've got no control to do it. Nothing has changed. And when you look at that there, I mean, I don't want to talk about Saturday anymore. It was a sodden disgrace, as you all well know. But I said it at the time. I never understood it at the time. Why was Harry Maguire kept as captain of Manchester United? If you're a new manager and you're looking to take control, you make a statement. I will pick my own captain. He picked the captain before he'd even had a training session. I'm pretty sure he announced the captain on his first interview when Maguire wasn't even back from his holiday. So that decision wasn't even based on coaching, I don't think. Or if it was very, very early days. So, look, I said this on Saturday and I'll say it again, and there's so much to get through. I don't want to dwell on this too much either, but there's too many dodgy things going on at that football club. Like Maguire being the captain, he's the worst captain we've ever had, and he's kept it. Bruno playing 90 minutes every week when he's crap. McTominay coming on, having been crap, ahead of Garner and Donny in a game that we're losing 4-0, and he's crap when he comes on. Rashford plays every week as well. Luke Shaw plays ahead of your new signing. Varane sat on the bench. There's just weird stuff going on at that club that I just don't think it makes any sense. And yes, if we don't make any sense of it, there will be people in the squad who don't understand it as well. Because as I said yesterday, Harry Maguire is liked by some of the players at Manchester United, but they don't respect him as a leader because he hasn't got the ability to lead. So it is weird. Some of this is on Ten Hag for not listening to Rangnick. He's found out the same information that Rangnick did last season about these players. Aram, at the moment, there are big similarities between Ten Hag and Rangnick, and Ten Hag has probably listened to the wrong people, but he's got to think of himself very, very quickly. He's got to think about himself. He's got to demand control or walk out, because otherwise he's heading towards a bloody disaster. It's absolutely ludicrous that the club want to sell Garner before giving him a fair shot. I'm disgusted by it, Mayad. I really am. Some of this is on I've done that from Aram. Blame should always mainly be on the owners. New owners means new board, and a competent board would deal with the players needing moving on, says Nick97. Maguire is a god-awful captain and it's on him at this point. Yes, it's not on him that he was picked, but he should have the character to recognise he's not up to the task, says Marcus. Look, I don't want to individualise it. You know, people talk about De Gea, Ronaldo, Maguire, Rashford, Bruno, Shaw. There's a lot of players, McTominay. Collectively, all players have to take responsibility, but it doesn't mean you can't itemise and analyse individual decisions that have been made that make no sense like that. Finally, Franky Dion said to his teammate that a move to Manchester United is very likely, and what on other transfers, says Jesse. Mark, maybe these players that kept getting picked have a certain condition in their contract that keeps them in the starting lineup, says Akesh. Just on Franky de Jong, by the way, I find this hilarious because over the years, as you might know, that people have attacked United stand, and it's hilarious this morning because I was looking around because I didn't do the morning show, so I was just having a look around at the news and everything like that, and the amount of people that are running the story that Franky de Jong expected to be a Manchester United player before the Liverpool game, that's my story. Like, that is my story. If you listen to Talk Sport last night, I've got Alex Crook on the show, who is a TalkSport journalist, and I say to him, Alex, on de Jong, I was told this morning by somebody that Franky de Jong will be a Man United player by the Liverpool game. And Alex Crook said, I've had exactly the same information. And we both said, well, it seems unlikely, but let's see what happens. I created that story. This makes it sound like I made it up. I didn't make it up. I was told that story, and Alex Crook said he'd had the same information as well. So it's funny, isn't it, how people are running that story now, and yet United stand shit, doesn't know what it's on about. I'm not saying we're going to sign Franky de Jong before the Liverpool game, by the way. All I'm saying is that somebody told me that, and when I mentioned to Alex Crook, he said he'd heard the same information. Honestly, on Franky de Jong, he remains Manchester United's number one target. They've not dropped out of that race. But do you genuinely think we're going to get that deal closed by next Monday? I mean, to be honest, there's only 2 weeks of the window left. So when you say we'll never get it done in a week, we've got to get it done in 2.5 weeks. But look, maybe that deal will move through quickly, but we haven't even sorted Rabiot yet. But Manchester United still are in the race for de Jong, so we'll see what happens with that. As I said before, Franky de Jong has become less and less interesting to me by the minute, and having lost 2 games, I'm pretty sure Franky Dion's not going to make a massive amount of difference to this squad anyway. He's got to be coming for the money if he comes, because why you would come to Manchester United? I mean, as I just said there, Erik ten Hag's never been given control to lose it, in effect. And if you're Franky Dion, why would you go to Manchester United? There's a very big chance that Ten Hag could be out of a job in the next 2 years. I just don't see how he turns this around. I hope he does, and he's got my full support, and I'm sure he's got yours. But can you see Ten Hag turning this around? In which case, Franky Dion, what are you doing? But I'm sure his contract will have enough. I tell you what, actually, I'm sure Franky de Jong's contract will have some sort of release clause if we don't do things. Anyway, let's move on. Thanks, James Chowder. There was a huge dressing room argument at the club's Carrington training complex, says Sir Marcus. That was reported by Samuel Luckhurst as well. There is also structure issues. Players' belief is also a factor. Most of the players played together under Ollie. They don't trust each other, says Ricky. Hi, Mark. Beth was saying she wants Martinez to play as a CDM against Liverpool, and Adam has been talking about it, how we shouldn't play players out of position. So I was wondering what's your opinion, says Will. Martinez may well play in that position. He wasn't bought for that position. Fans need to band together and have another Man United versus Liverpool game postponed, says Mike. The problem with the club is we never evolved the philosophy post-Fergie. We need to outsource recruitment for a proper sporting director as a priority, says Alex R. The whole first team is crap. Let's start our youngsters and give them a chance, says George. When Ollie was coach, we extended contracts on silly wages and privilege that the player is guaranteed games. The favouritism issue will only be resolved if we sell, run down or cancel contracts, says Carl. And hi, Mark, love the show on TalkSport regarding capacity. I'll give it to De Gea. He takes full responsibility, says Mikael Roach. To be fair, someone tweeted it over 2 weeks ago that Franky de Jong is to be a United player before the Liverpool game. To be fair, HKN, that's not where I got that information yesterday morning. It's like saying 2 weeks ago, someone said we're going to have a Chinese takeaway. But yesterday, someone else told me we're having a Chinese takeaway. So it's completely different. It's completely different information that people are reporting today, based on what was discussed on TalkSport yesterday. I'm glad to see Martial back in training. Do you think he'll start against Liverpool, says Lewis Clark? And Erik ten Hag will turn it around, but we still have the same team as last year, says Ray. Look, in relation to the argument on the dressing ground, the argument in the training ground last week, why would they not be arguing? I don't really have a massive problem with Manchester United players arguing on the training ground. That's not really a surprise. We're shit. So surely that just shows that people are not happy with each other, and I don't really mind about that. But I think that with regards to in general, the general stuff that we're talking about here, I don't think it's acceptable, and I do think it's blame shifting. I mean, look, this is definitely coming from someone in the dressing room who wants to shift the blame from them. This is definitely coming from a player that played shit on Saturday, 100%, because this is what they did last year. They've had a shit game. They get onto their journalist or their agent and say, can you put that out there, because it just puts the pressure onto that player and takes it off me. I mean, is anyone actually talking about Rashford or Bruno or Shaw or McTominay? No, there's a bit about Maguire, to be fair. There's a lot about Ronaldo. There's a bit about De Gea. But there's certain players that have been absolutely terrible who are not being spoken about now because the story's moving away to different targets. And this has been... And I'm not saying those players I named there are the leak, but what I'm saying is that this is how it works at United. There's no camaraderie, there's no team spirit, they don't like each other, most of them, and basically these are the people that on Saturday they walked out together as 11 players, but players within that team are then leaking stuff about teammates to protect themselves. How do you not expect to get beaten by Brentford when Brentford walk out as a team together and our team walks out and they basically stab each other in the back every chance they get? Ronaldo's desire to leave Manchester United has also contributed to a fraught atmosphere in the first team squad, with some teammates hopeful he will leave as they believe the atmosphere would improve. I mean, this is utter bollocks. I don't like to, say that, but it's utter bollocks, right? And the way I would explain this is, I saw it yesterday, all the Ronaldo stuff that was coming out, that was coming from the dressing room as well. It's just blame shifting. It takes the pressure off them. If I'm a Man United player and I've had a crap game and I put a story about Ronaldo, everyone talks about Ronaldo, I have a nice week. That's how it works. That's what United players have been doing for a very long time. And it works. You just shift the blame onto somebody else. But let me put it like this. Rash says, I find it ridiculous when people say we have the same as last year, and we don't. We have the worst squad. Good point. Well made. My preferred lineup, says Tyen. I'm not going to go through that, Tyen. De Gea, Bay, Varane, Delhomme, Malaysia, Martinez, Ericsson, Van der Beek, Garnacho, Sancho, Ronaldo. But will never happen. And Man United CEO told fans, Man United transfer plans with reports suggesting Erik Ten Hag will have 200 million for transfers. Says Stephen. We should do a swap deal with Rashford and Hakimi and sell Bissaka and Bay, says Y Bainsy. But going back to what I was talking about there, if Ronaldo is the problem, which he's not, they're leaking against him from the dressing room. Ronaldo doesn't want to be at the club. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if Ronaldo is the problem in the dressing room, how can he be the problem in the dressing room? And I'll tell you this, right? All these leaks, all this information that people want to take as read, are you calling the manager a liar? So Erik Ten Hag, 4 times over the last 2 months, has said, Ronaldo's not for sale. I really love him as a player, and I'm planning the season around him. He said that 4 times in different ways. On Friday, he said Cristiano Ronaldo has had an amazing week in training. He's trained really well. But we're now getting Ronaldo's walking around with a moody face. Ronaldo sits and eats on his own. Ronaldo is a negative influence. So just use your brain. The manager sits there on Friday lunchtime and says Ronaldo's had a great positive week. He's trained really well. He's been brilliant. On Sunday, Ronaldo's moody. Ronaldo's this. Ronaldo's that. Where do you think that information's coming from that's negative against Ronaldo? Because it's not coming from the manager. It's coming from fellow colleagues who are trying to blame and shift the blame as per usual. Hi Mark, would you hypothetically have a finger on your left hand disappear for the Glazers to sell the club? No. Can you please just not? Manchester United players can't pass a ball but world class at passing the buck, says Emily Derry. They are. It's a shame it's not a skill because we would win. Yes, so yeah, let's move on to the next bit. Cliques still exist in a squad that remains a discordant environment after 2 disastrous defeats by Brighton and Brentford, while certain United players eager to leave are still marooned at the club. Yeah, and what that means is obviously Ronaldo still wants to go, Eric Bailly wants to go. There are players that you would be very surprised that are unhappy at United who know they've got no chance of leaving. There are players at the club who would like to go as well, but they're not even asking for a transfer and they'd never be let go. But there's a lot of unhappiness in the squad. There are a lot of cliques and they still exist. And I say again, what has Richard Arnold, the Glazers, John Murtagh, Darren Fletcher or anybody else who's technically involved in the rebuild of this football club, what have they done from last season to support this manager and enable him to clear the problems from last season? Because you know what it's like? I don't know whether you live in a climate where you might get a bit of snow. So 5 o'clock, you get home from work, you park your car on the drive, it starts throwing it down with snow. Tomorrow morning, you know you've got to be at an absolutely essential meeting at 8 a.m. You're looking at the snow, it's all on your car, it's all on the drive. You ain't getting that car out. You go to bed, you wake up in the morning, there's loads of snow there. You're not making the 8 a.m. meeting because you haven't shoveled the snow or anything like that. That's what United have done to Erik Ten Hag. All these problems were there last year. Split dressing room, cliques, blame shifters, downing tools, losing games badly, not buying players. All the problems that we're talking about now are repetitive. They were all there at the end of the season and they were all part of the thing that Rangnick spoke about publicly that the plan needs to change. Rangnick leaves. Everyone knows the problems. Ten Hag comes in and Murtagh and Arnold and all those lot do nothing to change. I mean, what's that saying? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. It's almost like they appointed Ten Hag and went, hopefully everything will just go away. And now the season started and it's like everyone's falling out with each other. They don't like each other. They're not good enough. They're downing tools again. I don't understand what United's amazing plan was this summer because, I mean, look, we've not even spoken about the transfers. The transfers in and out of the club are a disgrace. But they've done nothing to address the cliques in the dressing room. They've done nothing. You know, we've still got the same captain. We're still picking McFred. Bruno's still playing every game. Luke Shaw's playing over the left, over Malacia. Like, there's literally no change from last year apart from the manager. And the manager's not really managing this team because he's not been given any control. He's not been given the players he wants. The players he wanted to sell are still at the club. He's now having to sell players like Garner just because somebody will give us some money. And don't you forget that. The reason we're selling Garner, it's bloody obvious. It's because no one wants to pay for Bailly. Nobody wanted to play for Tellez. No one will pay for Wan-Bissaka. No one will pay for Phil Jones. No one will pay for Brandon Williams. We loaned Dean Henderson. Like we can't generate any money to be able to buy more players. The budget's crap. We need to sell players. So this is why we're selling Garner, because they've gone through the team and gone, who's the most valuable player we can sell that will cause the least disruption? Well, Garner. And that's what's happened there. Disgusting. But this is the big thing. And this is the thing that we've spoken about time and time again. And I struggle to understand why some people don't get it. United's glacial movement in the transfer market is one of the reasons behind Ronaldo's eagerness to leave. It's not only one of the reasons, it's the main reason. Cristiano Ronaldo in June knew in May, well, he knew in April. He probably knew in bloody March. He knew we weren't going to play in the Champions League way before he decided to say he wanted to go. Ronaldo knew we weren't in the Champions League in the middle of May. He spoke to Ten Hag and was like, yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. The end of June, he wants to leave. The reason he wants to leave is because of that. United's complete lack of ambition in the transfer market has shown to Cristiano Ronaldo that this club is going to endure another bad season. And that was when he wanted out. Desperate. I don't like it. Don't want him to leave. But is he wrong? He saw what was going to happen. And bloody hell, we've lost 4-0 to Brentford and been beaten by Brighton. It's not like he's predicted it wrong, is he? He's predicted it right. He's seen the lack of signings. He's seen the lack of sales. He's seen Maguire still captain, which he cannot get his head around. And he knows what this squad is like. And there is respect for Ten Hag there. And he does like Ten Hag. But there is no change at that football club. And then the results have gone exactly the way everyone knew they would. And we could actually have a worse season this year than last year. He's basically wasting the end of a great career here. And he said, I want to go because there's no ambition. That is the big issue. If United in June had gone and bought De Jong and Anthony, as well as Eriksen, Martinez, Malacia, and we're in the race to maybe bring a Tillemans or someone else in, I think he'd have gone, well, they've shown some ambition there. And maybe if we'd shifted a few more players as well. But basically, as I said at the start of the video, this is not a new Manchester United. This is last season Man United, weaker because we don't have Matic, Cavani, Pogba anymore. I don't really count Lingard and Matic because they didn't play that much. It's a weaker United team heading towards the same issues that it was before. And, most Man United fans agree with the fact that this summer transfer window is a disgrace. But people want to say, well, get Ronaldo out of the club because but the reason he wants to go is pretty much for the same reason you want him. You want it. You've said. The fact that you assign no blame to Ronaldo shows that you're not objective. You are treating speculative information as fact to suit your view. Lee, the fact that you say that, it could be a good point. But as I say, I get a lot of information and I know exactly what's going on. And you should be able to know what's going on anyway by figuring out that there is a pattern of behaviour at Manchester United that regurgitates itself and repeats itself. Think of all the bad results last season. How many times did we get stories about leaks coming out from the dressing room? And we've got that exactly the same. The evidence is there from the manager. He wants Ronaldo to stay. He's not for sale. He loves the player. He wants to plan the season around him. And he said on Friday he had an amazing week training. But you choose to believe what fits your agenda. I don't want there to be an agenda. I don't want an agenda against Maguire, Ronaldo, De Gea, Rashford, Bruno. I don't want to individualise this problem. The Glazers want you to do that. I will fight against that. We should not be arguing about one thing because there are about 50 things wrong with this club. And if you want to go through another season of Ronaldo FC or I don't like Ronaldo or I do like Ronaldo, then you are a mug. You are a mug, my friends, because that will keep the Glazers in for another 17 years. We need to stop saying things like Ronaldo's clearly the problem, De Gea's clearly the problem, Maguire is clearly the problem. They may all be the problem, but there's a hell of a lot of problems. And I was speaking to somebody this morning, and they said this to me. If they didn't say this, let me just read this super chat from Yudrif. If Erik Ten Hag's first interview, he said that his squad finished second. I think the CEO and Murta lied to him, says Yudrif. that was always a worrying thing that Ten Hag said, I'll admit that. Why does Ten Hag keep saying they're good players? I don't understand it. I hope to see 9 changes for the Liverpool game. But that's just a confidence thing, Marcel. It's a confidence thing, isn't it? He's trying to keep the confidence up. I like Ten Hag. It's a massive game against Liverpool. He can't start with the likes of Rashford, Shaw, Maguire. Andrew, I know it's a week away, but we've lost that game. We've lost that game. Like, the players know they've lost that game as well. I mean, even if as fans we tried to rally the troops and said, "Come on, it's Liverpool." You've seen this team. They go 1-0 down and they're beat. There's no way they can do that. There's no way at all. But anyway, I was talking to somebody about this morning, and basically I was saying, all right, we're talking about Ronaldo, and I said, well, do you think the team will be better without Ronaldo? Do you think that the atmosphere will be better? And effectively, they said to me, look, what you've got to consider is this. It's the most important thing. Hypothetically, who is better for Manchester United? Is it Marcus Rashford or is it Cristiano Ronaldo? Or Ronaldo's better? Harry Maguire or Cristiano Ronaldo? Or Ronaldo's better? Are Man United going to suddenly become a top 4 team because Ronaldo leaves? No. The dressing room might be happier, but the quality isn't there. If you spoke to Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, do you think they would remove good players to keep crap players? Like, there is this myth floating around that United, if they sell Ronaldo, will be better as a team. It won't happen. It won't happen because they're not good enough and they've not got the winning mentality. They haven't got and also, it's not just Ronaldo and certain players that don't get on. Like, there are a number of players in that dressing room that don't think Maguire should be captain, as we were just discussing there. It's damaging. It's damaging to the conversation that people focus on this whole Ronaldo needs to go, Ronaldo needs to stay. There's not just... I don't know what our fan base think. Do they think that Ronaldo's in training on his own and everyone else is booing him? Like, there are cliques within that dressing room that don't get on. And look, it's not my job to tell you what those players are. And I don't necessarily know all of the cliques anyway, to be honest with you. But there's lots of them that don't get on. Lots of them. If all the players get on, apart from Ronaldo, why was it that Ronaldo got no chances then? If Ronaldo's the problem in the team, why did Ronaldo get no chances? Because on that logic, surely De Gea, Delot, Maguire, Martinez, Shaw, who else started? Ericsson, Bruno, Fred, Rashford, Sancho. If they all get on with each other, why didn't they play well together then? I mean, Ronaldo's right at the end of the pitch. Ronaldo, it doesn't impact how we lose 4-0 in that game. He's not at fault for any of the goals. And he didn't get any chances anyway. So how can Ronaldo be the problem? Like, the problem is that there's so much disintegration in that squad. Like, it's not like we play great football up to Ronaldo and then he misses. Or it's not like we play great football up to Ronaldo and then they don't pass to him. Like, we can't play football as a team. There are cliques in that dressing room and there are people that don't like each other, and it's an absolute shambles. And taking it back to what the title of the show is, Ten Hag Loses Control. Did he ever have control? Did he ever have control? Has he been given the players that he wanted? Has he sold the players that he asked to be sold? Has the dressing room fallouts and cliques stopped? No. Have the leaks stopped? No. Have the bad performances stopped? No. I think he's been completely and utterly 100% failed by an absolutely crap owner, board, recruitment team. They've absolutely hung him out to dry. He's a brand new manager with a load of hype behind him, who's lost his first 2 games of the season comprehensively to 2 teams that probably won't finish in the top 10. It's just unforgivable. And I think most Man United fans this morning and today are in a state of numbness, in the sense that, well, this is only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. And I said it a couple of weeks ago, Manchester United have to go and get Anthony and Dion as a bare minimum. And they've got 2 weeks left to do it. I don't even know if that helps us now, because there are so many problems in that team. And of course, Man United, I've not mentioned this as well, some of those United players have got so much power as well. Like, if you're Jadon Sancho or Marcus Rashford, and I'm not, I like Sancho and I like Rashford, but if you're Jadon Sancho or Marcus Rashford, you're not getting dropped. You're not getting dropped. If you have a bad performance, you're not going to get dropped because Alanga's not ready, Garnacho's not ready. So you're not getting dropped. Bruno seems to know he's not getting dropped, even though we've got alternatives. Maguire seems to know he's never going to get dropped and he's going to stay captain for as long as he wants because that's what happens every game. And there's a few players like that. Luke Shaw probably knows he's not going to get dropped because a new left-back's come in and he still keeps his place. So there's just... It's just stunningly badly run. I said April that we should go for Anthony. Look what he did last week. We need a left-footed player, even a kid, says Yadrif. Sacking Rangnick was a tactic to undermine Ten Hag. He needs Ralph as sporting director to back him against the board who thinks they know better, says DJ. I think it was a... Look, there is this myth again. There's so many myths around United. You wonder where they come from. That Ten Hag sacked Rangnick. He didn't. Man United had decided to get rid of Rangnick in late March. I don't think they'd even done the second interview of Ten Hag then. There is this myth that Ten Hag sacked Rangnick. He didn't. The club had made that decision on him way before Ten Hag. I don't think the leaks are coming from the players this time. I think the club is the one who makes those leaks to read. No, they're not, Abda. They're not. 100% not. It's not the club. Stephen Rossi says, how does selling good players to appease the bad players create a better team or suddenly boost confidence? Exactly, Stephen. Can see game being called off with the protests, says James. And we need... No, we don't. Let me just block that person there. There we go. Bye-bye. Ray says, Ronaldo only came to United because we were in the Champions League. Now he wants... Now we're not. He wants to chip. I thought no, but that's not true, Ray. That's not true. I mean, I've already spoken about it. Like, he knew we weren't in the Champions League in May. He didn't ask to go. He spoke to Ten Hag. He was happy about the project. And the project in the middle of May was... Darwin Nunez, Anthony, Timber, De Jong, Ericsson, Malacia. The project in the middle of May, Ronaldo was okay with. By the end of June, he was like, well, where's all the players? And where are the players? So it's not just about... I think everybody knows, Ray, that the reason Ronaldo wants to leave is not because we're not in the Champions League. It's a factor, but he knew about it ages ago. The reason he wants to leave is the complete and utter lack of ambition at the club, and he could see what was going to happen this season, and he's been proved right. Taff says... I don't know what Taff's on about there. It doesn't really make any sense. I think it's a pro Harry Maguire tweet about him being our best centre-back. Okay. It was only a couple of weeks ago, Mark, when Maguire said Ten Hag has brought back positive vibes. Do you think that was a lie or short-lived, says IQ? I think IQ is the right word, to be honest with you. I think that I think these players have got no idea how to win. And I think that therefore, it basically comes down to this. I read Jadon Sancho did it on Saturday. I think Rashford's done it. Bruno's done it. Let's just say every United player's done it. Over the last few weeks, all I've heard is the intensity in training is unbelievable. The coaching is fantastic. They've all got a smile on their face. And, have you seen United play good football against Brentford and Brighton, by the way? No. Have you seen any intensity? We ran... Was it 11 or 15 kilometres less than Brentford? So what's this bullshit all about? I mean, it's just pure bullshit. You can't believe a word they talk. You can't believe... And that's the sad thing as well. When you can't trust your own players, and I think most fans haven't trusted the players for a very long time. I mean, I lost trust in a lot of these players when we got beat by Everton 4-0 under Ollie. I know not all of them were there, but some of them were. I haven't trusted a United side for bloody ages. Do you ever go into a game and think, yes, we will win? I can't remember the last game we went into and I thought, yeah, 100% I'm convinced we're going to win. I might have predicted a win, but I don't trust them to win because they're capable of anything for years. Whether it's Huddersfield, Cardiff, Newcastle, Brentford, Brighton. It's not a new thing to lose those games. We're capable of losing to anybody. We don't discriminate. Manchester United are capable of losing to anybody, but you're absolutely correct. All we've heard for the last few weeks is about the intensity and the style of training. I mean, look, you saw the clips in Australia of all these little drills. Remember all these little games they were playing where there's about 50 of them in a metre and they're all pinging round first touch. Where's all that gone then? Remember all this talk about how hard they were... I mean, he got them back a week early. A lot of them were back a week early as well. Where's all this fitness? Where's all this, you know, intricate football that they've all been talking about? It's just completely disappeared. No good football in the first 2 games, and they're hardly running around. I mean, when I say nothing's changed, I lie. We've got worse. It's not nothing's changed. We've got worse. If you watch those Brentford and Brighton games back, you'd think Rangnick was still in charge and the players were just still not happy. Like, the spin is unbelievable. But the fact that these players, if you're so fit, if you're fitter than you've ever been and you've worked harder than you've ever been and the coaching's better than you've ever had, why are you still shit? Because they're shit. I keep saying it. You can't polish a turd. And this is the problem Ten Hag's got. And I don't put any blame on him. I guarantee the last 6 weeks, Erik Ten Hag has trained those players intensely and taught those players methodically. I guarantee you he's told them about high lines, how to create chances. You've got to be intense. You've got to run around a lot. I guarantee he's given them all the drills for all of that over the last 6 weeks. They just can't do it. They just can't do it. That's the problem. When you see Ronaldo on the touchline and when we're 3 or 4-0 down to Brentford throwing his hands in the air, it's pure frustration because he looks around the pitch and he's played in great United sides, great Real Madrid sides. He looks around the pitch and he's thinking, you just cannot do the basics. They can't do the basics. Look at the second goal. We're trying to pass out from the back when we've got the ball. Within seconds, Brentford score. Look at the 4th goal. We've got the ball and on the counter-attack, it's one pass and they've scored. Look at the 3rd goal. It's a corner. You practice corners. They head it from one side of the goal to the other and score. Like every one of those goals we conceded on Saturday were down to us and bad tactical play. I don't think Ten Hag's a bad tactical coach and I don't think Ten Hag hasn't trained those players. I just think those players are not good enough. And I guarantee if Ten Hag had the Man City squad and he'd done exactly the same pre-season, they'd probably be winning games 2 or 3-0 because the players are good enough at Man City and Liverpool. The players at United, they can't be coached because they're not good enough. And I think, you know, we spoke about this in the summer and I fell into the trap as well. We said, you know, in fairness to some of these players, they've not been coached properly for 3 years. And they weren't coached properly for 3 years under Solskjaer. Absolutely not. They weren't. They weren't. But Rangnick did try to coach them. Oh, he's not a good coach. What are we now going to say? Ten Hag, who is established as one of the most exciting coaches in Europe last May, he's not a good coach now. The man who took Ajax to a semi-final and should have took him to a final, he was unlucky. The man who's like destroyed teams in the Champions League last season, he's not a good coach now. It's staring you in the face. Ten Hag is a good coach. These players just can't be coached. They're uncoachable. The uncoachables. Sylvester Stallone should do a new franchise. He's got the Expendables. Now we've got the uncoachables. They can't be coached. I'm sorry. I know some people will be saying, "Oh, you're defending Ten Hag too much." He's had 2 months with these players. Well, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. He has trained them. We've seen the videos. He's done the fitness work. He's done the coaching and the drills. And they're still playing the same as they have for the last 3 years. They can't be coached. They've got weak mentality. They've got low football IQs. They can't be coached. Watch the Brentford game. Like, they look like Ten Hag's trained them for 5 minutes. He's been doing it for weeks. They can't be coached. I almost hope we get relegated so the Glazers will finally sell us. Andrew, why would the Glazers sell us if we got relegated? Look, we're not going to get relegated, but I do feel that this sort of needs to be shut down. Why are the Glazers selling us if we get relegated? Why? Why would they? The price and stock and share price would be low. I don't think they'd want to sell us if we were relegated. They want us to get promoted again. If we got relegated, right, we'd get promoted the next year. And although it's the Championship, the price would go up again because there'd be positivity around United. They won't sell us at our lowest point. They won't. If they're going to sell us, they'll want to sell us at the highest point they can get. They won't sell us if we get relegated. They'll sell us if they're forced out of the club. That's what you need to be working on, not relegation. I don't think relegation gets rid of the Glazers. What gets rid of the Glazers is a unified fan base working together with sponsors with a viable second option. As I said the other day, Some of these sponsors are sponsoring this club for 3 or 4 years from now. Be part of removing the Glazers. You'll still be a sponsor and you'll be viewed positively. Your watch-along versus Liverpool should be a guided meditation session. Fans are ruining their health watching this team play. I was in Vegas watching Brentford game and United fans were betting for Brentford to win, says Rohit. The players aren't good enough, but are they this bad? What's going on, says Ricky. Well, Ricky, you make a good point. Of course they're this bad. I'll throw this to you then. If Ten Hag gets sacked, what are you going to do next? Oh, Poch will get the best out of them. That argument's gone. Put it in a river and send it away. These players will be better when they're coached. They've been coached. They've been coached for 6 weeks by a good coach and they're still the same shit. Like, what needs to happen to Manchester United is new owners, new board, new director of football, new recruitment team, new coaches. Ten Hag hasn't got many coaches that he brought in. There's still loads of coaches from the previous era. And complete renovation of that squad. Top to bottom, renovation is what's needed. Not 1 or 2, top to bottom renovation. And I'll say this to you now. If we did get De Jong and Antony, I'm not saying we will, but if we did get De Jong and Antony, of course there would be an improvement. But we won't get top 6. We're miles off. So once the Leaks have got rid of Ronaldo, what's the betting Ten Hag and the coaches will be next? Yes, Glenn. Glenn, you know the game very, very well. Very, very well. Glenn knows the game. Once Ronaldo's out of the way and we're still losing, there'll be another target and it will be Ten Hag. If I was Ten Hag, you know what I would be doing? I'd be on Amazon or wherever else you get them and I'd be ordering a stab-proof vest because you are going to get snaked. You will. They'll come for you. They'll come for you. I'm surprised they haven't already, actually. Eric, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. And Danny says, we need to put pressure on the board not to buy Rabiot like we did at Artovich. This is another impending disaster coming in. I think we're past that. I think Rabiot's coming in, to be fair. Anyway, we've spoken for ages, so thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. To do that, you're very welcome. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the video. We are back tonight at 7 o'clock because I'm watching Liverpool Palace on That's Football at 8 o'clock. So I'll do an earlier show tonight, but it will be me at 7 o'clock tonight on the United stand. And then That's Football, I'm doing Palace Liverpool. I am going to be playing FIFA Career Mode as well in about 15-20 minutes on Twitch. I'll tweet it off my Twitter account. Thanks everyone for watching. In conclusion, I just feel very weird at the moment, and I'm sure many of you do as well. I don't accept it. That's not the right word. I just know it. I know things are going to get worse. I know we are screwed, and I know that the only positive is to try and find a solution where this football club can rebuild properly, whether it's the stadium, the team. It needs complete and utter rebuild. I've never known it this bad. I've never known it this bad. Arnish says, I'd like to see Ten Hag being asked what exactly Maguire has achieved to continue playing for United, let alone captain. You know what? I'm very defensive of Ten Hag, but I've got absolutely no idea what logic he had in, doing that. I have no idea. No idea. It makes no sense. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you in a bit.